Ladies and gentlemen, so it seems like Sea of Thieves is currently the best-selling pre-order on PlayStation 5 console. Let's look into it. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So most of you probably already know that Sea of Thieves is coming to PlayStation 5. It's releasing on April 30th, so there's still a little bit of a wait for PlayStation guys to actually enjoy this game. But pre-orders are out already, and it looks like these pre-orders are doing very well. They are doing so well that at least right now, Sea of Thieves is the best-selling pre-order in US and various European PlayStation stores, right? So that's a very good news for, well, Rare, developers of that game. And yeah, looks in Microsoft, that's for sure, because obviously they will make a lot of money on that game. Not only from selling the game, and by the way, there's two versions of that game in sale on the PlayStation Store. There's, I think the cheap version is like $30 or $40, and there's also more expensive one, like Ultimate Edition, let's call it, with some additional stuff, and that cost like $50 or $60, right? Something like that. And I think the more expensive one was actually selling better, or pre-orders better than the cheaper one, to be honest with you, right? So obviously Microsoft will make a ton of money on that sale, but on top of that, later on there's some microtransactions in the game and that kind of stuff. So it's a live service game, so you know how things work when it comes to these games as service, right? Now it's interesting that there's actually, and maybe a bit surprising, I guess, that there's so much interest in this game, and I guess it is surprising, but not really at the same time, because like people love these service games. But hey, there's always a risk, right? I mean, when Sea of Thieves first came out, it was basically an undercooked product. There wasn't really much to it. There wasn't a lot of content there, but game still did well, and after a while, Rare did deliver a ton of like DLCs and different modes and that kind of stuff. So I think I don't remember the official number, but like Sea of Thieves have been played by over 20 million users or something like that, right? So that's on both Xbox and PC. And also remember, guys, that this game on PlayStation is a current gen console game, right? It's not on PlayStation 4, which is kind of weird, right? Because you would think that it should be more than it. I mean, this game is on Xbox One, so maybe they will release it for PlayStation 4 later. It would make sense, but I don't know. As far as I know, so far they announced it only for PlayStation 5, and maybe they will just stick to it. Who knows, right? I mean, at the end of the day, like most people kind of moved on from these older consoles, but still, like we're talking about, I think around 120 million PlayStation 4s out there, so it would be a miss to not take advantage of that user base, right? And but anyway, it doesn't really matter right now. I mean, even when it comes to just PlayStation 5, it's selling very well, and it is going to be interesting to see how these numbers will look like after they add PlayStation players. And how, I mean, you know what, like even, I mean, on Xbox, like there's so many people that still play this game. I mean, they released it in 2018, so it's been like 6 years, and this game is still very popular. They keep adding new content, DLCs, and that kind of stuff, right? And that's why it's so popular, and it's and it is this kind of social experience that a lot of people love, really. It's not really my jam. Like, I guess these story expansions are kind of like for me, really, right? But for the most part, Sea of Thieves is all about like, building a crew and, getting on board of a ship and, do a pirate thing, right? Kill enemies and conquer these seas, right? So, it's going to be interesting to see how well this game is going to do on PlayStation. I mean, it looks like it's going to do at least good, which, probably means that, Microsoft will be more willing to invest in porting these service games on PlayStation and maybe Nintendo. I wonder if this game will ever make its way to Switch or maybe next gen Nintendo, who knows? Look, I mean, just like with PlayStation 4, there's like 130 million Nintendo Switch users out there. So like, and I know that a lot of people own both, so it doesn't necessarily mean that like it's like 240 million people that they haven't reached yet, and like there's multiple consoles in many households and that kind of stuff. So it's not, it doesn't really add up like that, right? But still, that's still a huge market, and this is one of these games that is not necessarily the most demanding on a hardware. I mean, it looks it's very stylized, it's very Nintendo-like, if you know what I mean. And it runs well on Xbox One, so it should run on PlayStation 4 too, right? So, in my opinion, it's just a matter of time when we will see that game on PlayStation 4. But we'll see. So, guys, looks like that Microsoft in experiment is, working. And I wonder what's going to happen with like other games. I mean, we know that Pentiment didn't really do that well. I mean, it didn't really do well on Xbox and PC either. But so Pentiment is a very niche game, single player. So I'm not necessarily surprised about Sea of Thieves. Success. I'm not sure if we can talk about success just yet, but hey, pre-orders looking very good. I wonder how Hi-Fi Rush will do, because I think this is going to be maybe not the ultimate test, but it will be a good test when it comes to these single-player games, because we know that games as service, will do well on these platforms. Helldivers 2 is doing great numbers now. Sea of Thieves looks like going to do some good numbers too on PlayStation. But I wonder what's going to happen with these single player games, because it may, if, and it's a big if, but if Hi-Fi Rush will do extremely well on PlayStation, that may send a signal to Microsoft executives that, hey, these single player games on PlayStation actually have some chance too, right? Because if they sell number of a couple of million of these copies of such a game, well, it's a good business kind of argument to make that, hey, let's port some more first party but single player games, right? But then again, question is, what games and what games to basically leave on as an Xbox exclusive, because clearly if they still want to sell Xbox console, they will have to leave some of their stuff exclusive, console exclusive. So, and I kind of agree with Jez Corden, who spoke about it, during one of the latest podcasts with Randall Thor Xbox on Xbox podcast, where he said that he doesn't really see, not at least not in immediate future, he doesn't see Microsoft releasing all their games on other platforms. It just don't make much sense. They will keep on bringing more and more, that's for sure, but it's going to be rather, one or two games here and there, while, they will still releasing all these Call of Duties and Activision games. I'm very curious of Bethesda, really, and I did spoke about it a couple of days ago already, because I think that, I guess the single player games, or like the biggest franchises, most of them, I guess, like Halo, Gears, Forza, these will stay on Xbox still and PC, but I wonder what's going to happen with likes of Bethesda games, right? Like Doom and Wolfenstein, right? I mean, these are games that not only have been on PlayStation for a while now, but I mean, yes, they are kind of a single player games for the most part. I mean, Doom has multiplayer. I'm not sure about Wolfenstein. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't play multiplayer. That's why I don't even know. But I always think of these games as single player games. But a lot of them do have multiplayer anyway. So we'll see how that goes. Looks like Sea of Thieves is doing great numbers when it comes to pre-orders, but we'll have to wait and see. And you never know how Microsoft's competition will behave, right? I mean, I wonder what Sony's strategy is going to be with releasing games on PC. I'm sure they will release more of them, but will they start releasing these games day one? Very likely, in my opinion. I mean, will we ever see some of the PlayStation games on Xbox? And if not Xbox, maybe at least Switch, Nintendo console, because it kind of makes sense, because there's not really a lot. I mean, we can't really say that 30 million Xbox consoles out there is not a lot, but in comparison to like Nintendo Switches, they've got like 130 million, that's a big number, right? But the problem with Nintendo Switch is that it's really underpowered. So if Sony were ever to release any of these games on Nintendo, I mean, it would have to be games like Hi-Fi Rush, right? Sorry, not Hi-Fi Rush, like Gravity Rush, or some of these smaller titles not really demanding on the hardware, right? Because Nintendo Switch can't do it, and sounds like Nintendo Switch 2 is, yes, it will be more powerful, but it will be like PlayStation 4 Pro, like when it comes to power and performance, right? So it's not really going to be the most powerful console out there either. So we'll see. But at the same time, like some of the PlayStation 4 titles, why not? So anyway, guys, that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.